Thus, in the context of further developments in the South Caucasus, much will depend upon the political behavior of two other actors in the South Caucasian area, I mean Russia and Turkey. Next. This my slide I named pragmatic approach, because there is a very clear trend between these regional powers toward each other, and there is a huge level of understanding between them. So in August 2008, for the first time in quite a long period, Russia demonstrated that it is prepared to defend its own national interest at any price, including the use of hard security measures, and also indicated quite clear its priorities in the South Caucasus by the formula "no step backwards." Due to forced recognition of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, Russia in August of 2008 got additional leverages to manage processes in the region. The next step was the attempt, or maybe even takeover of the initiative from the OSCE Minsk group in the settlement of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. It seems that after the recognition of these two entities, Georgian former autonomous republics, and establishing of diplomatic relations with these two same states, providing them some preferences, Russia needs to take concrete steps to create an image of the honest broker, and the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict might become a test ground for that. The saying of the Memorandum Declaration on the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict by the Armenian, Azerbaijani and Russian presidents on November 2, 2008 in Moscow has been seen just in this context. The document confirms the its quotation, prospects for political settlement of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict to a continuation of direct dialogue between Armenian, Azerbaijan and Armenia through the mediation efforts of the Minsk OSCE group, and excludes for a while, just for a while, the possibility of open military confrontation in this very area. But I would like to mention that it was the first document signed by Armenian and Azerbaijani presidents since 1994. The important factor in building relations with the counterpartners and partners is that Russia, taking into account the situation in the South Caucasus and having used Georgian strategic miscalculation, as well as the unwillingness or unpreparedness of the West to take reciprocal actions against Russia, formulated and made public its achievements, goals and tasks for the period of President Medvedev presidency. In the address of President Medvedev to the Federal Assembly, there was a very strong statement about the South Caucasus, and it was a remarkable really statement. He said that we will stand firm in the Caucasus. So Russia's role in for the nearest decade are formulated even straighter in the national security strategy adopted recently in May 2009. In the context of my presentation, most interesting are the following postulates of the document. The trend is being shaped by the search of solution of the current problems and settlement of crisis situation on the regional basis without participation of the non-regional forces. Thus, defining its national interests, the Russian leadership starts implementing the project of transforming Russia into the world power based on the realpolitik principles, which is fraught with serious consequences for a weak South Caucasian states. Of course, Russia's action posed a dilemma for its strategic partner and rival Turkey, which has been forced to review its relations with the regional stakeholders and its own perspectives in the South Caucasus, taking into account the factor of Russia's strategic presence and accordingly the weakening position of the United States and EU in that very area. The careful statements of the Turkish leadership regarding the situation in Georgia during this open Russian-Georgian confrontation were motivated by some concrete contradictions vis-à-vis the US and EU and related a serious economic partnership with Russia and existence of quite a powerful Abkhazian and Ossetian communities in Turkey itself. So as a result of the August 2008 war, Turkey was gained additional potential for strengthening its security system along the entire eastern borders. And as long as during the last 2-3 years the Turkish society and some part of the political establishment have been increasingly disappointed both in the level of relations with the US as well as EU non-readiness to see Turkey as a full membership of that very structure, it is possible to suppose that Turkey will try to intensify its activity in the areas immediately adjacent to its borders and first of all in the South Caucasus and the Middle East. So it is no surprise that immediately after the ceasefire in the zone of South Ossetian conflict and on entire Georgian territory, Turkish Prime Minister Erdogan visiting Moscow suggested the stability and cooperation platform for the in the Caucasus, which is quite in line with concept of the strategic view of Turkish role based on some principles, and among them is avoiding any problems with neighbors. So, in the same time, I would like to mention that it is very difficult to suppose that the above-mentioned initiative, where there is no place for such outside actors as United States, EU, as well as Iran, could be voiced without a preliminary Russian approval. So the visit of the Turkish Prime Minister to Russia, Georgia and Azerbaijan, then visit of Turkish and Russian presidents to Armenia, signing the above-mentioned Moscow Declaration on the settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, as well as the reaction of Turkish leadership on the signing of that very document should be considered from my point of view in that very context. So among the 3 regional states, as I mentioned above, it is only Armenia that posed the biggest problem for Turkey. Settlement of the Turkish-Armenian problems can provide serious foreign political preferences for Turkey. At the same time, trying to be more active in the South Caucasus, Turkey has to build its relations with Armenia, taking into account Azerbaijan and its own internal public opinion. That is why it is possible to state that Turkey is much more interested in the settlement as a political process and a sort of activity that in the settlement itself. So, as a whole, the current activity around Armenia can be explained by the fact that Armenia is the only broken link in this chain of the regional relations, and the new configuration of security system in the Caucasus mainly depends on Armenian political behavior. So summing up, sorry for so long presentation. It is worth noting that the region of the South Caucasus keeps a huge explosive potential. Could you please? Well, let's start. The reformatting of security system of the South Caucasus occurred by the result of August war, what led to multiple consequences for each external and internal actors in this area. For the United States, the South Caucasus goes to the background. For the EU, favorable conditions are created in terms of acceleration of its political and economical presence. NATO minimizes or at least freezes its participation in the regional processes for a nearest future. Russia and Turkey make a step from the enlarged economic cooperation to the strategic partnership in the political sphere.